take it too hard.
What's up, guys? Beater here, and today I'm going to be covering my SPX trade that I took while looking at the SPY chart. So we ended up buying about 4 contracts of the 5120 same-day puts, but we didn't really just enter straight off the rip. You can see it took me about 14 to 15 minutes to get into the market today. We ended up having a nice higher open. If I zoom this back up, you can see the previous day close right there at the bottom left. Previous day close, we ended up having a really nice gap up over the weekend. Nice little drawdown the first minute, and then a nice drawdown over the next few minutes, which got us down to 514.19, which just a random level. We end up picking it back up. We end up getting up to the current day high, current day open. Make sure to mark those too when you're doing your trade checklist. Just mark, why did you like it? Rejection of current day open / current day high. That's it. Just mark that, just so you have something to go in there. So we end up liking the touch of today's high, today's open. Nothing crazy out. We're not really super bearish yet. We're still looking for some pressure to get away from this. We see an inverted hammer against this, a shooter, whatever you want to call this. Nice rejection of a good area. And then we get a little bit of a recovery and then another rejection. And then as soon as this candle closed, that is when I liked this trade a lot more, because now I see a potential lower high against this. I can set my stop at 515.30, the current day high, and I can move on about my day. I enter 4 contracts. We sell 2 within the next 2 minutes. Why is that? Because we made it down to the recent low. I don't want to ignore that. Do we need to have that mark? No, not necessarily, but you should at least have this marked if you're going to take positions away from the current day open, current day high, and take it down to where there's still, of course, a low of day. Cannot ignore the low of day. And you can see it did, in fact, respond to that. So we took a little bit of profits here. And then right here, this is when I stopped looking at my trade. This is when I go to my phone, and you can do this on your monitor, you can do this on your laptop, you can do this on your phone if you have Thinkorswim, and I'll show a screenshot of the screen up here in a second. But you can actually share, I'm sorry, you can set a condition for getting in or getting out. So lately I've been testing this a lot more, and I really don't like setting conditions for getting into a trade. I still am a firm believer in you setting the condition yourself and then touching the entry yourself, not having an automated trade set up for it. But I do like the automated exit. I believe the automated exit is going to give myself and maybe some of you guys some better results, because I think a lot of us are good at finding entries. I think it's just the in-between that we let get control of us. Our emotions take over, or maybe something else happens, or we read something, or just anything, anything outside of our trade happens, and the next thing you know, we're trading more emotionally, and we're cutting it, or we're moving on, and then we're annoyed because a lot of the time it works out afterwards. The trade ends up going our direction, and if we wouldn't have cut losses emotionally, we would have taken really good profits, and that happens a lot. And I really do believe if we can just better condition the second half of that trade, letting the auto trade take over, I think that'll allow us to have better results, or more consistent, or even calming results is what I should say. But after we took profit here, knowing that I was probably going to get some short-term upside, and knowing I didn't really want to look at my contract, knowing I didn't want to look at the chart, because I know that, okay, well, if this goes against me, it's going to suck. I don't want that to happen, right? So what's a good thing we can do? We can set a condition. So what do I want to set for my final 2 contracts? I told this to set it at 515.30. If 515.30 is closed over, I set the bid to, if it breaks above this, to close it. And it did not. It got no close. And for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. For 20 minutes of this, sideways, bearish retest in a way with lower highs. Didn't really have to sit here. Didn't have to sit here for 20 minutes. Was allowed to go and look at YouTube, go check chat, go check OBS, go check just anything and see what's going on with my day, and just kind of review some stuff, and not really letting the trade mess with me. So if this would have pushed out, would have been small green, small red, neutral, really wouldn't have been that bad. Could have totally taken that and moved on from it. What happens though? We end up getting a breakdown of support. And this is another thing too. I don't think you should have a set target for your trade condition wise. I think you should just have a set stop loss as a condition. Go set it at a certain level that you might have marked, and then just leave it at that. But once it goes to your targets, you need to take over and take profits. Don't let the auto trade take over, because you might not like some of the fills that you get. Yes, while it's selling off, it might be good, but other times while it's recovering and bouncing, it's not going to be so easy for your contract to fill, and you might not make as much as you want or as you deserve, because of course you worked hard for this trade. You should try to get as much of your money out of that trade as you can. But we end up getting a nice move down under the recent day low. Sorry, back to the trade review. And honestly, as I saw that my contracts were up about 100 and something %, I was like, I need to start trimming. So I took profit on one just to allow myself to feel a lot more comfortable for that final contract. And as I saw we were pushing towards my target and towards the previous day control point, because that's what this is. If you go from the previous day low to the previous day high, you should get this level here. 512.44. It ends up hitting that perfectly. So I'm actually happy that I made it to this area. It wasn't really like sell at this level or sell at this level. It was just make it to this area and try to sell some contracts. And that's what I got to do. I gave myself a chance selling here. I gave myself a condition order. If it pops above 515.30, the current day high, to cut me out. And if it ends up making a new low, I can manage that trade and see what I can do down here. Now, since then, they just made lower highs and continued lower. But I'm honestly still very happy with my trade, because I don't want to be that person who sits here and, you know, takes a trade and then is sitting here for hours on end later on, right? Trying to beg for the best outcome ever. Like, could I have made more money? Yeah. But I also could have wasted more time, energy, focus. So it's really good to just kind of stick to the trade that you had planned and then move on from it. We don't really need to sit here and talk about things that we didn't actually have planned. So a couple things to take away from this video. Definitely work with that auto trader, setting conditions for your stop loss once you're into a trade. I think that's a very good way of managing our emotions so we can trade more like a computer. Trading checklist, type out what is getting you into these trades. Therefore, over time, as you start to take losses and wins, you start to realize what are your strengths and weaknesses and which ones do you want to work towards more. And then trade reviews. Please don't just post your gains in chat. Please actually screenshot the chart, post why you entered, why you liked it, what are some things you liked about it, what are some things you didn't like about it. You know, just adding up all kinds of points, really just speaking out loud to yourself, so in the future when you look back on that, you're like, okay, this is what I should start to aim towards. But of course, just like you see here, we could have also set an auto trade stop loss for our runners, and we could have said once it goes over this, get us out, and then maybe we could still be sitting in this trade. So you can see how you can tweak this to be a more disciplined system. You could tighten it up. You could also loosen things up and set it to where you could try to maximize your gains. You could totally have done a better job than I could have here, but this is just the gist of it, and I'm honestly just really happy to have done this, because Friday I was testing this and I lost a little bit of money because of something messing up on a fill, and I was actually happy to make all of that back and some today, so I'm happy about that. But also to just see the testing working, the back testing and reviewing I've been doing on this auto trader stuff. It's just, some of it's inconsistent, some of it's very consistent, some of it's just not probable to help us out in our actual trading. I think some of it will help us, some of it won't. But of course, you guys can see with this video some of the positives and negatives of this. But I hope you guys enjoy this content, and if you guys want to jump into more of this auto trader stuff, please let me know. I'd love to share more content on this. It's actually a lot more enjoyable now because we've been backtesting it a lot more and actually utilizing it with our system, because again, it's really just setting up it's really just setting conditions based on our strategy, and then once something happens, it does it. That's it. If this, then that. Trading in a conditional format. So trading more like a computer can definitely be nice, but of course it is nice to understand the reasonings and understandings of every little thing in between it all. But guys, I will see you on the next one. Thank you guys again. Please drop a like on this video. If you liked any of the content in this, please comment down below some of the things that may have helped you in this community. Comment down anything. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one, and I hope to see you in the next stream.